Okay, so this video is going to be different from the usual videos, but something I feel I have to get off my chest. Unfortunately, there's a particular group of people in this country who have a very idiotic view, to say the least, when it comes to answering a particular question. And that question is, what is an Aussie? And before I go deeper into this, just want to say, for those of you who don't want to watch this video, feel free to skip it. For those of you who don't like my opinion in this video and want to unsubscribe, go for it. I don't care. This is my point of view that I want to get off my chest. Alright, so this particular group of people, they want you to answer what is an Aussie without them looking racist. And so when someone like me, left-leaning, defines an Aussie quite simply as someone who has citizenship in this country, because being an Aussie is a nationality, it's not an ethnic group. You don't have to be born in this country. You can immigrate to this country and become a citizen. You can be a refugee and become a citizen. It's quite simple. But this particular group of people on social media don't like this particular view. So they will always manipulate the story and say that people on the left, can't define what an Aussie is. Like they fumble over themselves. Like, it's a simple question, which is just blatantly a lie. Quite simply, when people like me ask the question, the answer is quite simply always the same. An Aussie is someone who has citizenship, and that is quite simple. But what these pieces of crap will, what they will tell you is that an Aussie is someone who is of Anglo-Celtic descent, and occasionally they will also include Indigenous Aussies in this, so they don't seem racist. But while they include Anglo-Celtic Aussies and Indigenous Aussies, anyone who is, like Greek or Italian or Chinese or Indian, even if they have citizenship, in the eyes of these losers, are not Aussies because they don't fit this particular image. No. They don't fit this particular image. And unfortunately, with social media being the way it is, this content gets pushed by the algorithm. And unfortunately, many morons support this view that only Anglo-Celtic Aussies, mostly only Aussie. Yeah, hold on, give me a sec. Mostly only Anglo-Celtic Aussies are, Aussies, regardless of anything else. And honestly, that's quite disgusting that people have this opinion, but that social media continues to push this bullshit narrative that is completely false. There's no single definition of what an Aussie is in terms of, the language you speak, your ethnic background, the religion you follow, and whatnot. It's quite simply anyone who has citizenship in this country. And, nothing else matters. You can be, of Greek descent. You can be Chinese, Indian, indigenous, non-indigenous. You can be male, female, takatapui, brother boy, sister girl. It doesn't matter. If you're a citizen, you are an Aussie. There is no if, buts, or maybes. There is no, or yeah, but whatever. And when it comes to these people telling you that you are not what you are, quite literally, you just tell them to go F themselves, you know? No one has the right to treat you like a second-class citizen in your own country, regardless of how many generations their family has been here, whether it's, 5 generations or 3, or, maybe you came here as a refugee 5 years ago. You don't have the right to tell someone that they're not an Aussie just because they don't look the way you want them to be, just because, they speak Urdu instead of English, or because they speak Wiradjuri or Tarao Maori or anything like that. I'm still getting nowhere with that lock. Fuck. So yeah, I just wanted to make this video to kind of get this off my chest. And I know most of my followers are overseas and not Aussies, but this relates to other countries too. Hold on, I just have to think what I'm going to say. Well, when it comes to this country, we always have been a multicultural country, even before colonization. Aboriginals and Zenith Cass, we're not one group of people, even if there are several hundred indigenous nations in this country. We speak different languages, practice different culture, so we have always been a multi-country, a multicultural country. It always has been that way, and it will always be that way, regardless of what Damo the dumbass thinks. So, yeah, it's just something I wanted to get off my chest, and, to say to those bigoted idiots, go fuck yourself. And to all my friends and whatnot out there, I love you for who you are. Doesn't matter where you were born, doesn't matter the first language in which you speak, the religion in which you follow. You are perfectly fine the way you are. And, if you have citizenship in this country, you are an Aussie, regardless of anything else. There's no if, buts, or maybes. And quite simply, I've been here my entire life. I was born here. And so if I'm down the street, I can't tell who's a citizen and who's not. Even if you're not a citizen, I would probably still think you're an Aussie. Because, there is no one image of what an Aussie looks like. No matter what magazines will tell you, no matter what dickheads on the internet will tell you, there is no one defining image. There's probably more I should say on this, but I'm just lost for words and can't really say what I want to say. Hold on, the dog wants to hop up. Good girl. So, because I can't think of anything else, I'll move on to the next section of the video. So today in the mail, got this little guy. Whoops. Move that over there. And move you out of the way. Got this little guy. It's a money box. Made to look like a little ATM. Little cute thing. That goes and they'll be going into my collection. in my room. And then, as a gift, I got this from one of my fellow subscribers as a part of a trade I did for a particular lock of mine that they wanted, and I was happy to give it to them. For those of you who've been on my channel a while, you'll know that this is a Lockwood 234, one of the very first iteration with the nice, beautiful cursive logo. Nice shackle. As you can see, this one's been beaten a little bit, but still beautiful, beautiful aged brass. Gorgeous. I'll set you right there. There's not much else I can think of saying, really. Hold on, pop down. Yeah, there's not much else I can think of saying. See if I can pick at least one lock on camera before I end the video. Oh yeah, and something else I wanted to say is the reason why I wanted to talk about what exactly an Aussie is because of a particular video I saw from some dickhead on social media, and unfortunately this dickhead, his views are supported by a fair amount of people who are themselves dickheads. Come on, you bastard. Yeah. In another one of his videos, because there are multiple videos, as usual, of what an Aussie is, he basically belittles an Aussie politician. Her name is Senator Payman. She is a senator in the federal Senate. She is of Afghan descent, and she and her family came here as refugees when she was a little girl. They fled the Taliban, and they eventually made their way to this country, and she was given citizenship, and eventually she became a politician. She's a very nice woman. But in the particular video, it was a video that he stitched of her calling out another politician, whose name I will not mention, for a racist comment about her because, of the fact that she was not born here. Senator Payman was not born here, so clearly she's not an Aussie, and I don't like her, and whatever it is. And this bigoted idiot basically pushed the same bullcrap of belittling her, saying that she's not an Aussie, because she's a brown Muslim woman, and she wasn't born here, therefore, bitch, whinge, whinge. And he defended said racist politician because, she's a white person who was born here, and clearly she's not racist because she's allowed to say that kind of shit against people who are different from her when it comes to the way they look. So, yeah, that's why I'm making this video, because of bigoted idiots, and just wanted to get it off my chest. And thankfully, when Senator Payman called out said racist politician, her fellow senators, Senator Faruqi and Senator Thorpe, stood up for her in solidarity, calling out this other dickhead politician who was pushing their racist and ignorant views. which is a good thing. And more Aussies should do that, regardless of whether you're, Indigenous or not, regardless of whether you were born here or not. If someone is pushing these false and bigoted views of what an Aussie is, calls them out, tells them go fuck themselves. Quite literally, you have no right, regardless of whether you were born here, regardless of whether you're a Christian, regardless of whether or not you're white, to say that someone is not an Aussie simply because they're different to you and you don't like them. And try this one. No. Now, boy, is this embarrassing. Can't pick a bloody lock open. Maybe I should have brought a mini lock with. Hold on. Ooh, I think we're close. So, yeah, that's basically everything. Well, as much as I can think to say in this video. And, again, if you don't want to watch this, don't watch it. If you want to unsubscribe, go right ahead. I don't give a rat's ass. I merely wanted to get this off my chest. So, hence why I made this video. Come on, you're nearly there. I have to pick at least one lock on camera, bloody hell. Come on. Hung up on a bloody spool. Isn't that the bloody worst? Ah. Yeah, maybe I'll try Parky's lock. Maybe I'll get lucky. Come on. I think at this point I'm mainly just fumbling around. Let me switch picks and tensioners because where did I put it? Oh. Did I get it? Oh, did not cut that. Tensioner and different pick. Oop, nearly lost everything there. Alright. Okay. Yeah, sorry this is a bit of a long one, but hopefully I can at least pick one lock. Redeem myself from being an idiot. Also, sorry about the dog whinging in the background. Oh, come on. There has to be like at least one pin that's hung up. I guess I'm getting nowhere with that either. Well, I tried. Alright, see you on the next one.